I'm about to reveal something that might shock you, especially if you're over 60 and you start your morning the same way millions of people do every single day. I'm Dr. Emma Whitmore, and after more than 2 decades as a cardiac surgeon, after opening chests, holding diseased hearts in my hands, and studying arteries that looked more like cracked pipes than living tissue, I can tell you with absolute certainty that almost everything you've been told about your morning routine is dangerously incomplete. You've been told that a cup of coffee wakes you up, that skipping breakfast helps control weight, that jumping straight into exercise is healthy discipline. Doctors often say, just get your blood pressure under control. But here's the truth most people never hear. Between 6 and 10 in the morning, your cardiovascular system is under the most dangerous stress it experiences all day. This period is known in cardiology as the morning surge, and during this window your blood pressure rises, cortisol floods your bloodstream, and clotting factors spike simultaneously. Imagine your arteries like narrow city highways just before rush hour. Overnight, traffic is slow, almost empty. But when you wake up, thousands of biological cars suddenly accelerate at once. Hormones, blood pressure signals, inflammatory molecules. The system works only if traffic merges smoothly. But certain morning habits are like sending a convoy of speeding trucks into that highway all at once. That is when disaster happens. Let me tell you about Eleanor. Eleanor was 72 when I first encountered her case during emergency surgery. She was a retired teacher, disciplined, organized, the kind of patient every doctor loves because she followed every instruction perfectly. Her blood pressure medication? Taken every morning. Her cholesterol pill? Never missed. She woke up every day at 6, drank 2 large cups of coffee before breakfast, and sat reading the newspaper before starting her day. Her blood pressure numbers looked controlled. Her doctor was satisfied. But one Tuesday morning at 7:18 a.m., Eleanor collapsed in her kitchen from a massive heart attack. When we opened her coronary artery in surgery, what we found told a story her medical chart never did. A clot had formed in a vessel already stiff from years of vascular aging. That clot formed during the morning surge. And the trigger, according to the timeline reconstructed later, was the combination of caffeine on an empty stomach, medication absorption interference, and the sudden pressure spike that followed. Everything happened in minutes. Her arteries had essentially been pushed past their limit during the most vulnerable window of the day. This is the part that makes me furious, because it's preventable. The problem is not simply blood pressure numbers. The problem is how your body transitions from sleep to wakefulness. That transition is a biological storm most people never learn about. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what happens inside your blood vessels during the morning surge, why certain common habits amplify that stress like gasoline on a fire, and the simple sequence that can dramatically reduce your cardiovascular risk starting tomorrow morning. But before I reveal the routine that protects your heart, you first need to understand the hidden biology that most doctors never explain. Now let's talk about what is actually happening inside your body during those first minutes after you wake up, because this is where the real danger begins. Most doctors simply say your blood pressure rises in the morning. That explanation is incomplete. The biology is far more complex. When you wake up, your brain releases a surge of cortisol, sometimes increasing levels by as much as 50% within the first 30 minutes. Cortisol is a powerful hormone. Think of it like a foreman in a factory shouting orders: speed up the heart, tighten blood vessels, release stored glucose. At the same time, your sympathetic nervous system, the part responsible for fight or flight, activates. Now imagine your arteries are like flexible garden hoses. In a healthy young person, they expand easily as blood pressure increases. But after age 60, those hoses begin to stiffen. The elastic fibers weaken. Calcium deposits accumulate. Suddenly, that same pressure surge that a 30-year-old tolerates easily becomes a dangerous spike in a 70-year-old. And this is where common morning habits start interacting with that surge in ways most people never consider. Coffee is a perfect example. Caffeine blocks adenosine receptors in your brain, which removes the natural braking system that keeps your heart rate calm. Studies published in the Journal of the American Heart Association have shown that caffeine can temporarily increase systolic blood pressure by 10 to 15 points, especially when consumed on an empty stomach. Now combine that with a natural morning surge that is already pushing pressure upward. It's like adding another truck onto that crowded highway. Comment below if you drink coffee before breakfast every morning. Just type coffee if that's your routine, because the next part may change how you start tomorrow. But caffeine isn't the only factor. Blood clotting activity is also highest in the morning. Platelets, the tiny cells responsible for forming clots, become stickier during the early hours of the day. A large epidemiological analysis of over 3,000 heart attack patients found that nearly 40% of heart attacks occur between 6 and 10 a.m. That's not coincidence. That's circadian biology. Let me tell you about Harold. Harold was 68, a retired mechanic who prided himself on staying active. Every morning, he woke up at 5:30 and went straight into intense exercise, push-ups, resistance training, sometimes running on the treadmill before eating anything. His doctor applauded his discipline. But one morning, Harold experienced crushing chest pain during his workout. When he arrived in the emergency department, his coronary artery was 90% blocked by a clot. The trigger wasn't just the plaque in his artery. It was the perfect storm created by morning physiology, elevated cortisol, increased clotting activity, a rapid blood pressure spike from exercise, and dehydration from overnight fasting. All of those forces hit his cardiovascular system simultaneously. Think of it like turning the pressure knob on a water pipe while also narrowing the pipe itself. Eventually, something gives. And for millions of older adults, that breaking point occurs during the first hour after waking. But there is another mechanism happening at the cellular level that most people never hear about, involving the vagus nerve, stomach receptors, and sudden temperature changes from cold drinks. And this next mechanism explains why even something as simple as ice-cold water immediately after waking can affect heart rhythm in certain individuals. That's what we're going to uncover next. Now we need to talk about the second and third biological mechanisms that make the early morning hours so dangerous for older adults, because this is where the story becomes even more surprising. Inside your chest runs a nerve called the vagus nerve. It's one of the most powerful regulators of heart rhythm in the human body. Think of it like a master traffic controller sitting in a tower above an airport runway. Every heartbeat is a plane landing or taking off, and the vagus nerve directs that traffic, slowing it down or speeding it up depending on what your body needs. But here's the problem. Certain sudden stimuli can confuse that controller. When you drink very cold water immediately after waking, temperature receptors in the esophagus and stomach send rapid signals through the vagus nerve. In some people, especially those over 60 with existing rhythm instability, this sudden signal can briefly disrupt the heart's electrical pacing. It's rare, but it happens more often than people realize. I saw it firsthand with Margaret, a 76-year-old grandmother who came to our clinic after experiencing sudden dizziness every morning. She described the exact same routine: wake up, drink a large glass of ice water, take medications with coffee, and sit watching television for an hour. One morning she fainted. Monitoring revealed brief episodes of atrial fibrillation triggered shortly after her morning routine began. Her heart rhythm was essentially being shocked by a cascade of signals before her cardiovascular system had even stabilized for the day. Comment dizzy below if you ever feel lightheaded when you stand up in the morning. Your body may be experiencing this same transition stress. But there's another layer most people never consider, and it involves how medications interact with morning beverages. Many cardiovascular drugs, beta blockers, calcium channel blockers, and certain statins are absorbed through specialized transport proteins in your intestine. One of those transport systems is known as CYP3A4 metabolism. Coffee, grapefruit compounds, and certain juices can interfere with that pathway. Imagine trying to pour water through a funnel while someone partially blocks the opening with their hand. That's what happens when these beverages alter drug absorption. The medication you believe is protecting your heart may be entering your bloodstream slower or in unpredictable amounts. That means the exact moment your cardiovascular system needs stability the most, the morning surge, your medication may not be working as effectively as you think. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Pharmacology demonstrated that certain grapefruit compounds can increase or decrease medication absorption by up to 30%, depending on the drug involved. That's not a small difference. That's the difference between stable blood pressure and a dangerous spike. Now here's the part that changes everything. The solution is not eliminating coffee forever or avoiding exercise entirely. The solution is sequencing your morning routine so your cardiovascular system transitions gradually instead of violently. Starting tomorrow morning, the first thing you should do after waking is gentle movement, 2 to 5 minutes of stretching or walking. This activates circulation slowly and allows blood vessels to dilate instead of constrict suddenly. Then drink a glass of room temperature water, not ice cold. Comment water below if you're going to try that tomorrow morning. After that, take your medications with plain water so absorption remains stable. Then eat a modest breakfast before introducing caffeine. This sequence works because it aligns with your body's biology rather than fighting it. And in a moment, I'm going to show you the complete morning protocol, including the exact timing that research shows dramatically lowers cardiovascular stress during that dangerous morning window. Now I'm going to give you the complete morning protocol that I teach my patients after decades of watching preventable cardiovascular emergencies unfold during the most dangerous hours of the day. This sequence is not complicated, but every step matters because it works with your biology instead of against it. Step 1 begins the moment you wake up. Do not reach for coffee. Do not remain completely still for an hour. Your first action should be gentle movement for about 3 to 5 minutes. Walk slowly around the room, stretch your arms, roll your shoulders, allow your circulation to restart gradually. Think of your blood vessels like stiff garden hoses that have been sitting overnight. If you blast water through them suddenly, pressure spikes instantly. But if you open the valve slowly, the hose expands and flow stabilizes. That is exactly what gentle movement does for aging arteries. Step 2 is hydration. Drink 1 glass of room temperature water, about 8 to 12 ounces. Not ice cold. Not coffee. Water allows blood volume to stabilize after overnight dehydration and supports kidney regulation of sodium and pressure. Step 3 is medication timing. Take your prescribed medications with plain water only. Coffee, grapefruit juice, and certain fruit juices can interfere with absorption pathways such as CYP3A4 metabolism, which can alter drug effectiveness by 20 to 30%. That means your medication may not reach full strength when your cardiovascular system needs it most. Step 4 is a modest breakfast. Nothing extreme, but include protein and avoid high-sodium processed foods like bacon, packaged pastries, or salty cereals. Excess sodium early in the day can amplify the natural morning pressure surge. Step 5 is caffeine timing. If you drink coffee, wait until after food. Limit intake to 1 moderate cup initially. When caffeine enters the bloodstream after food, the absorption is slower and the cardiovascular spike is smaller. Comment routine below if you're going to try this exact sequence tomorrow morning. I want to address a few objections because I hear them constantly. The first is, my doctor told me coffee first thing is fine. Bring them the research. Show them the studies on circadian blood pressure spikes and caffeine's acute effects. Most physicians, when they see evidence, are open to adjusting routines. But guidelines are slow to change, and morning physiology is still underappreciated in everyday clinical advice. The second objection is, this sounds inconvenient. Then ask yourself how inconvenient a heart attack is. Emergency surgery, hospital stays, months of recovery. That is the real inconvenience. This protocol takes less than 10 minutes. Let me tell you about Thomas, 71 years old. He had experienced morning palpitations and pressure spikes for years. After switching to this gradual routine, movement, water, medication with water, breakfast, then coffee, his morning blood pressure readings stabilized within weeks and his dizziness episodes disappeared. Not magic. Biology. Now here's what I want you to do. Subscribe to this channel right now because the algorithm only spreads health information when viewers engage with it. If you don't subscribe, Videos like this disappear under entertainment content, while people remain unaware of simple habits that could protect their hearts. Leave a comment telling me your age and your morning routine. Every comment signals that this information matters. Share this video with anyone over 60, parents, friends, neighbors. Somewhere right now, someone is starting their morning in a way that puts unnecessary strain on their heart. And finally, bookmark this video so you can review the sequence tomorrow morning. Your heart works nonstop for decades. The least we can do is give it a safer start to the day.